Erikson was born, dadless but wealthy, in the quiet town of Frankfurt, Germany. He thought he was a Jewish and German boy, in which the rest of his classmates did not enjoy. He looked like an Aryan, so the Jewish said no. His religion was Jewish, so the Germans said go. He got mediocre grades, but excelled in art, which is where his identity began to start. His daughter saw that he craved support, but we should thank his mom because she didn't abort, or we would not be blessed with his Freudian ways, or psychology would be very different these days. Erikson did art at 2 different schools, but still thought, dang, my life drools. Then got offered to teach at a school in Vienna and thought, if I saw my dad, life would be better. He was drawn to Freud's work because of his father, then knew his search for identity would not bother. He was trained and analyzed by Freud's daughter Anna. For $7 a month? Yes, not per hour. Child development became his focus, which went hand in hand with his childhood psychosis. Despite 3 times before, he settled with Joan, when eventually the 2 of them called Boston their home. She quit her career to support him in his work, since his daddy issues still tended to lurk. In the 30s was Harvard for his PhD. In what? You guessed, psychology. But unfortunately failed in his first class, then dropped out of school and then let it pass. He went over to Yale to teach and help children and collaborated on a study with the Sioux Indians. He claimed the term identity confusion, in which he related World War II vet emotions on disturbing and traumatic war experiences that would cause bad mental visualizations. He thought the vets lost their identity after coming back home from their violent calamity. The 50s, 60s, and 70s went fast, since he worked, taught, then retired like that. Then at age 84, he published a book about old age, hopefully not how we will look. But despite his works, honors, and strife, he felt that he still could have done better at life. His psychosocial stages were divided in 8, in which he and Freud's theories could relate. The stages are hope, will, purpose, and competence, fidelity, love, care, wisdom, not ignorance. Not on the number, but rather the stages, where psychologists would continue to use for ages. The epigenetic principle of maturation explains how genetics is a development station. Social and environmental forces advised how the genetically predetermined stages are realized. There includes a series of A refocus of our instinctual energy is needed in each stage for life synergy. There are maladaptive and adaptive ways to cope with these crises that make us feel like we have no hope. If the conflict is not solved in a certain stage, then our ability to adapt will be locked in a cage. For it is still possible for a positive outcome, the possibility of it happening is thinner than a thumb. At age 79, Erikson was thinking and decided to write an essay on religion. He attempted to interpret something God told Moses, wondering what the meaning of I am that I am poses. He tried to explain how Jesus tried to heal, despite the ideological aspects that Luther did not reveal. He questioned the ethnic background Jesus seemed to be when compassion is all it took to heal you and me. Erikson performed some experiments with women, and the number of rich and poor became quite even. He measured personality on an 8-point scale, and proof of his epigenetic theory prevailed. This 8-point scale was, of course, the stages of his psychosocial theory that got kids through dark ages. Erikson included infancy in his theory because not all children develop nice and cheery. The infant is totally dependent on the mother. It is social and biological, not one or the other. The infant shows their love with their mouth, and if it does not develop trust, then it could all go south. The mother must show security and love so the baby can trust her if push came to shove. If the mother rejects and is inconsistent with care, then the baby's brain will tell him, it's her, beware. But not all is lost if the baby doesn't trust, because hope will regain its love to mom's bust. Erikson is the first to say that the past is not to be forgotten, but is meant to last. The crises that you conquer throughout each stage will affect how you develop as you increase in age. Also, the fact that we face identity issues at such a young age makes me want to get tissues, because now it makes sense why we are so lost, facing difficulties at youth resulting in high cost. Cultural, social, and historical factors are the reasons for development that really matters, not just biological, like Freud had thought, because it's the surroundings that personality development has sought. The theorists would say that I am stage 6, where love is the strength after the crisis is fixed. Intimacy versus isolation, some things that I fear, where both could end with me shedding a tear. It could be because I love someone so much, but not wanting to feel like I am a crutch, holding them back from what they love most, whether it's dreams or moving from coast to coast. I've had this conversation once before with the man I am with, which I truly adore. Now, the fear of isolation really kicks in, that if he were to leave me, I'd feel empty within. It is a feeling of really not being held, despite me looking a mess and my eyes have swelled, or pushing me to be the best I can be, or as simple as saying he is proud of me. I can't go to my parents, not that they aren't caring, but it's the bumps in my life that I'm not sharing. I do love my parents, but it's different with him. And I may be young, but I'm going on a limb. For this is a man who has made me who I am now, and I hope that one day that we can share a vow. Although Freud was the one that attracted Erikson, he took Freud's theory and created a new one. Freud believed that it was sexuality, while Erikson believed that it was society. Freud sat his patients on a couch to talk and weren't really given the option to walk. Erikson, however, provided a chair so it would feel more personal and show that he cared. He believed in getting to know the person rather than talk about dreams while their symptoms worsen. I felt like choosing Erikson for identity, and the amount of info that I learned was plenty. It gave me insight on how I dealt with my past and why I feared of becoming just an outcast. It all had to do with how I acted and how I felt my parents were impacted. I saw that I chose the maladaptive ways, which is why I'm surprised when I get praised. My parents were not the kind to show love, which is why we aren't as tight as a glove. I wanted to see if I could change it because I really wanted to succeed, not to quit. I surround myself with friends who care, and there's a lonely past that we all share, where our parents were busy, but we didn't mind because that meant there were more friends to find to keep us company through the good and the bad, through all the family fights that made us sad. And I'm glad that I finally found the love with this guy, saying family's always there for you, so you have to try.